Hey, everybody, it's Scott Steen with winnersandwhiners.com coming to you with the Monday edition of Today in Sports Betting. Hey, Scott, it's 2020, and you know what that means. We've got a doubleheader today. Are you psyched? Are you psyched?
Yeah, definitely. I know that after pretty entertaining Sunday football card, a lot of games came down to the wire. You had a couple teams, in my opinion, that are intentionally tanking. Not complaining about it, though. Thank you, Henry Ruggs, for catching that pass. But looking at the games yesterday, a lot of very, very close games. And I was kind of really impressed by how entertained I was for the entirety of the card. Even the 4 o'clock games, the Seattle game was painful to watch, but the game was close for the most part. Yeah, hoping that these games are close tonight. I know you have seen a decent amount of line movement on both of these games, but we'll talk about those in a second, and hopefully we make some money.
Yeah, and just to talk about that Jets game for a minute, I was kind of on board with the
You texted me like, "What do you think?" And I entered into the conspiracy realm, and you're looking at me like, I didn't want to believe it, but I'm kind of tempted now. Are you on
yeah.
board?
Yeah, and I watched Van Pelt last night do the Sports Center, and they had their cat on there talking about what Williams had done in the past under those situations. And actually, for him to send an all-out blitz in a Hail Mary situation is not unheard of for Greg Williams. So I'm a little less conspiratorial than I was yesterday because I didn't.
Fun fact: he got fired 11 minutes ago.
Greg Williams did.
He got fired 11 minutes ago.
Nice, very good. Because that's the kind of thing, and the times they showed it, it actually worked. They're able to put pressure on him and pressure the quarterback into a bad throw. But yeah, that's the kind of thing where if it happens in New York, you got to go. So
Well, it wasn't even just the Ruggs play, because 2 plays before, they got burned again, and Carr overthrew the guy in the middle of the end zone.
Yeah, he was, but that was different coverage. That was
No, it was. I'm just throwing it out there that I'm a little bit skeptical that in a game that you're intentionally trying to lose, or people think you are, you somehow, with no timeouts left, let 2 receivers blow past your coverage in the final 20 seconds of the game. That's a little bit weird to me. You don't think?
Well, I'll totally get on board with the Ruggs play. If you want to go conspiracy there, I will. 2 plays before that, they were playing one high, and they had double coverage there. He just got behind both of them. I mean, I don't think you're going at the granular level where you're telling your defensive backs to suck and not cover the guy.
Oh, no, I don't think it's that. I just don't think the coaching staff is doing a good enough job to call I'd say, play that promotes the maximum amount of success.
Well, what I'm saying is they had the guys in position. The 2 plays earlier, the guys were in position. They had him double covered. The safety was there. He just got behind him. It was just bad football. And, that's certainly, for a conspiracy to the Jets, they really played bad football yesterday. It must be a conspiracy. Like, well, you haven't been paying attention.
The Jets are bad.
Yeah, the Jets have been playing terrible football all year long.
Having said that, I think that tells me all I need to know about the Raiders.
And good riddance to Greg Williams. It's a guy that I never liked.
I'm assuming you're talking about the whole Bountygate thing, not just him rubbing people the wrong way.
But it's a whole
problem.
It's a whole package.
Yeah,
he's a very abrasive individual. He doesn't mesh well with a lot of head coaches, and then there's the whole Bountygate thing, which, let's be honest, I think they were the team that got caught. I don't think they were the only team doing it. But
well, that's how he made his whole reputation for better or worse, mostly worse, and then everything else carried over after that. People just realized. I think he's got a lot of Buddy Ryan in him. Because Buddy Ryan did the same thing on Thanksgiving when he put a bounty on the Cowboys kicker, and they just killed the kicker on the first play of the game. You remember that? What was that, 40 years ago, 30 years ago?
No, I don't remember that.
That was a thing. I think it was Thanksgiving. He basically said, I want you to kill the kicker. And on the opening kickoff, they knocked the kicker out of the game. And Buddy Ryan's also one of these guys who have clashed with head coaches, and it's always my way or the highway kind of thing. And that really seems to me like what Greg Williams' entire career was. I don't think he's as successful, of course, as Buddy Ryan or anything like that. But I think there are some similarities from a personality perspective. Do you see that?
Yeah, they're both the detestable human beings that are very difficult to get along with for head coaches. Yeah, I see that.
I don't know. I just whenever I heard all the complaints about Greg Williams, I'm like, that's exactly what people would say about Buddy Ryan in this situation.
And I'm honestly surprised
That he got a job with the Jets in the first place.
knocking a kicker out or knocking a
Oh.
punter out doesn't happen more often. From a strategic standpoint, it's a brilliant idea. If you can take away somebody's kicker on the first play of the game, that puts them at a decided disadvantage.
That wasn't really my point of the parable, but sure, you can take away whatever message you want from that situation. I'm just saying that we're talking about bounty gates and stuff. You said that they were the ones that got caught. It's happened in the past, but except it seemed like the Saints thing was more orchestrated, and the fact that they actually won the whole thing.
It was more organized. They had spreadsheets.
I said orchestrated. Yeah, it was more organized, and the fact that they won the whole thing was kind of the cherry on top.
Right. So,
but anyway, that's a side note. Well, we got some football games tonight.
Yeah, we do. 4:00 in the afternoon Central Time, 5:00 Eastern sees the Washington football team head to the Three River City to take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Scott, this is a game where a little bit of Washington money has come in. This line was 6.5 yesterday. I know it opened bigger than that. Down to 6.5 yesterday, and it's down to 6 here today. I do have plays on the sides on both of these games, but I'll talk about the total here. This total's been set at 43. I think that might be a little bit low. I don't know that. I don't know how much success these teams are going to have running the football. Washington, they are able to get after the pass for a little bit, but Ben Roethlisberger has faced less pressure than anyone else in the NFL. He's had more time to throw, and I think this O-line does a good job of handling them. And I think there could be some balls get tossed around because I don't think that Washington is going to be able to run all that well against Pittsburgh. I think they're going to be forced to throw the ball. Alex Smith has been no stranger to throwing the ball a lot since he came back, and I think this is another game with could be 40-plus attempts for Washington. What's your take here?
So I actually want your opinion on something because I'm curious how early someone's allowed to use the "I told you so" line. Now, the Steelers can still cover the spread, but I mentioned this on the Tuesday Night Football game with the Ravens and with the Steelers. I would slam Washington at +10 because this line was going to drop, and it dropped 4 points. So I don't know if I can say I told you so yet because the Steelers can still win the game by 30 and you still lose your money.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so obvious that money was going to come in on Washington. I like Washington in the spot. I think they might win the game. I said that last Tuesday when we talked about the Steelers-Ravens game. The spot for the Steelers is terrible. If you look at their schedule, they've played, 3 games, and I don't even know how many days at this point. They've just been forced to play with little to no recovery time in between. Meanwhile, Washington hasn't played since Thanksgiving. So they've had extra time to prepare. Meanwhile, the Steelers have had less time to prepare. I think it's a terrible spot for Pittsburgh. You saw how ugly Pittsburgh's offense played against Baltimore. And Baltimore, with basically no real – I don't even know how to describe Washington's defense, which was completely just decimated by injuries and by COVID besides the secondary. Steelers just checked down the ball the entire game, and I think they're going to do the same thing against Washington. Washington has a good pass rush. I know James Conner's out, but he hasn't really done much for the last month or so. I think Benny Snell is a pretty solid replacement option. But looking at the offense, I think Pittsburgh's going to check it down a lot. I think Washington offensively is going to struggle because Alex Smith is going to check down the ball a lot as well. And Gibson is very good. I love Gibson as a running back. But Pittsburgh's defensive line, I am concerned with Dupree being out for the year, though, because I do not know what to expect. I expect a lot of issues in his absence because he was just so good throughout the entire year. But at the end of the day, I think this game's going to be very ugly. I think Pittsburgh might win the game ugly. Tomlin called out his entire team for playing like a JV team on Tuesday. I don't care. The team plays down to their opponents all the time. And in this spot, I think it's brutal, especially with the rest advantage for Washington. So for that reason, I'm going to take Washington plus the points. I like the under. This game's going to be hideous. I think it'll be 2017. I'll take the under, and I'll take Washington.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely fading you on the total, though, Brody.
You can. It's very low. But I think that after what the Steelers showed against Baltimore, this team just has had no time to either rehab or prepare for basically any opponents they're playing, and it's really just a terrible spot.
Well, I don't disagree with that. They're playing on short rest.
Moving it to Tuesday does help. That does help a little bit, but it's still not enough for me.
comparing this Washington defense to the Baltimore defense, the only thing those two defenses have in common is they're located close.
But it wasn't the Baltimore defense; it's the Baltimore banged up defense. It's not like they were full strength.
No, it is, but they were in the defensive backfield, and they gave Ben all kinds of problems in the defense.
Yeah, I think Washington can do the same.
Okay.
In my opinion.
All right, good enough.
Okay, I think we're disagreeing a little bit on how good Chase Young and company is, but we'll find out what happens in the game tonight. We'll figure it out, but I think there's a lot of paths to the under because even if let's just say hypothetically you're right. Let's say Pittsburgh scores, I'd say 28 points.
Okay.
Give or so, which I think you can argue is towards the ceiling of this game. Are you confident Washington scores more than 14?
Yeah.
You are? Okay.
Yeah.
Then never mind then. I was going to say I think there's a lot of paths to an under if you think Pittsburgh does well, if you really just think, oh, Alex Smith is going to struggle against Pittsburgh. Like, I think you make the argument 28-13 if you really love Pittsburgh in the spot. I think there's a lot of paths to the under. So that's why I'm going to lean to the under, but I do like Washington in this.
Now, if it was Haskins, I'd probably go along with you.
Well, Haskins could play against the Jets defense, and I still wouldn't be confident in Haskins.
Yeah, this is Alex Smith has seen this Pittsburgh defense numerous times. They had a run where they played Pittsburgh just about every season there.
Didn't they get field goal to death in that playoff game a couple years ago?
Yeah, they did. That was a brutal game. I think they lost 18-14 or something ridiculous. So, yeah.
I think it was 15-14.
It could have even been 15-14. Maybe they just kicked 5 field.
I just remember that. So we're saying he's seen this defense before. That is true, but he hasn't had much success against this defense.
Well, he has, but he didn't in that particular playoff game. But he's.
I think it's been a mixed bag.
Again, I don't think we're going to agree on the total here. So
yeah, I think we're going to disagree because I'm also not sold on Washington's offensive line. But yeah, I think the spot itself speaks for itself. I guess I'm leaning Washington +6, but I already got Washington +10 in my pocket, so I guess.
Well, as a Chiefs fan, I hope you're right that you want to take the spin on Washington winning outright at +240. Feel free.
Yeah.
As a Chiefs fan, it would certainly be helpful. Although that would not, I believe I'm correct in this, it would still not give us the number 1 seed.
No.
I think all things being equal, we've got 1 conference loss and they would have 0. So, all right. So now the actual Monday night game, Scott. This should be, well, theoretically should be a lot more entertaining as the Bills travel to Arizona to take on, of course, the San Francisco 49ers. The Bills, this was their house of horrors 3 weeks ago down there in Glendale where they lost on the last second Hail Mary. They thought they weren't going to have to come back for 8 years, but, 2020, and they're back in 3 weeks.
Yep.
This is a line that's gone the way of San Francisco. A lot of Niners money coming in. Yesterday it was Pick'em. Today it's Niners -1.5. Again, I have a premium on the side here. 47.5 is the total. Scott, your thoughts on this one?
I'm going to sound like a broken record a little bit. I like the under in this game. I also like the 49ers. First glance, I think Buffalo's the better team than the 49ers. I think that you can make the argument that it's not even as close as people want to make it out to be, mostly because of the quarterback disparity between Josh Allen and Nick Mullins. However, this line movement just says all you need to know for me. I don't know how in a neutral stadium, San Francisco's gone from +3 to -1. There's really no serious injury news about Buffalo over COVID or anything like that. And Buffalo won last week. So it's not like there's a fresh, awful performance in people's heads about how this team just isn't as good. No, there's just money coming on the 49ers because they played well against the Rams, even though offensively they really didn't do much. I mean, Mullins wasn't good in that game, but they ended up beating the Rams because the defense completely just destroyed Jared Goff. I'm going to take the 49ers because I think that this line is pretty telling. I think the 49ers will win a pretty close game. I like the under as well because I think if the 49ers are going to win, the game's going to go under because Buffalo, don't get me wrong, Josh Allen is a solid quarterback in terms of talent. I think he's got the IQ of a lima bean. I think he just makes a lot of really dumb decisions in every single given game, and I think that the 49ers will give him a serious amount of problems with Salah's very aggressive defense. I think they'll get after Allen. I think he'll force a couple of passes into double coverage, and I think he'll get picked off a couple times. But I can't take the over because I'm not relying on Nick Mullins. I can't do it. I think the 49ers are going to pound the rock repeatedly behind a very, very underrated offensive line against Buffalo, who ranks 27th in yards per carry allowed. I think the 49ers will dominate time possession. I think they'll eat up a ton of clock. I think they'll run the ball repeatedly. And I think you should see a lot of long drives, and I think Buffalo's offense will struggle. So for that reason, I like the under, and I like the 49ers.
Yeah, I'm on the under in this spot too. I think for a lot of the same reasons you said, I think we're going to see a lot of long sustained drives. I don't think we're going to see either one of these teams be able to take the top off the ball.
Especially with John Brown out now.
That's the thing you and I talked about before the show. One of the big things in this game is the fact that Josh Allen, without John Brown, his yards per attempt,
He's gone down by 2 full yards.
Yeah, it's not yards per attempt. It's total yards per pass. It's how far.
Either or, he's not exactly making as much progress down the field as he was when Brown was there.
No, it's gone down about 25% basically, from like 8.4 to 6.6. So this is a Buffalo team that's going to try to grind you to death. I think San Francisco is going to do the same thing. They've been protecting Mullins since he came in there.
He should. He's not any good. I think Beathard should be starting. I've said the same thing every week. But they're both not good. All I know is I like the 49ers last week against the Rams. They ended up winning outright. I'm going to ride the 49ers again because I do think that this coaching staff with Shanahan, I know you can say, well, he blew the Super Bowl. Yeah, I know. He's still a top 5 coach in the league, in my opinion. I think he's still a genius offensively, and he knows his quarterback, whether it was Garoppolo, whether it was Mullins, he knows his quarterbacks aren't exactly elite by any means, and I'm putting that very, very politely.
I don't understand. You think he's one of the best coaches in the league, yet he's unable to figure out who his best quarterback is to start. That seems to be a dichotomy there.
I know what you mean.
Well, you're seeing the praises of what a genius Shanahan is, and right before he's starting the wrong quarterback.
I think he's starting the wrong quarterback, but at the end of the
day,
most
important decision a head coach has to make, bar none. And you think he screwed it up, but he's yet a great coach.
I'm talking about a scheme perspective.
Well, okay, then you should say that because there's
more
that goes into being a head coach than scheme.
I agree. I'm not saying that Beathard is miles ahead of Mullins. I'm just saying that Mullins must be tremendous in practice because I watch him every week, and I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. But I don't think the cupboard is full. But either way, I think Shanahan, from a scheme perspective, is a top 5 coach in the league. He wants to run the ball. It's what he loves to do. And I think he knows exactly how to deal with Buffalo in a game that is pretty much must-win territory for San Francisco if they want to keep their playoff either hopes, delusions, whatever you want to call them. They need to win this game. So I'll go with the 49ers.
Yeah, and this is the first time that it's the second time all season that the Niners have had all their running backs healthy.
Yep.
And I think that's going to make a difference. So
I don't think Tevin Coleman's going to have much of an impact at all, in my opinion. I think maybe he'll take away from Wilson. But either way, it's more mouths to feed. And since every running back they have on the roster is injury-prone, at least you have some backup options.
Yeah, that's true. I like Mostert quite a bit.
I think Mostert's very good.
I think he's going to be good in this spot. So, yeah, I like the under here. Like I said, I got a premium on the side, but I do like that. I think that 47.5, I think that's a little tall. This is going to be a grind them out game.
I see 24-20, 23-20, something like that.
Yeah, 21-17, somewhere in that neighborhood. I think is good. And I've also got I've got an interesting player prop over there. If you guys haven't checked out my play of the day yet, make sure you stop by there. I've got a kind of a fun player prop that I really, really like at plus money. So,
yeah.
All right, bud. Any final thoughts on these two?
No. We're going to see what happens. One of us will be right about the Steelers and Washington. I'd say disagreement on the total. So we'll see what happens there. You can definitely start preparing to gloat if it works out. Other than that, though, in reality, no. Hopefully we just make some money, and hopefully the games are entertaining because yesterday's game was a lot closer than people thought it was going to be.
Which one?
The Chiefs.
Oh, the night game?
Sorry. The yesterday night game.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. But I don't know about this team. They've got this weird habit where they could just play down to anybody.
The only bright side is that it's pretty tough to play down to teams in the playoffs. Pittsburgh has found a way to do that in the past, but shout out to Jacksonville with Bortles. But yeah, the Chiefs. I think they'll be fine. That's how I'll put it that way, right?
They're fine. They truly do have one of the top 3 coaches in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
So
still not a full fan of his clock management at times. I thought the end of the first half wasn't that great. But either way, I thought they could have ran one more play on that 3rd and goal. But either way, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, bud. Well, there you go. That's an NFL show for today. Make sure you check out Scott's video on
I got 2 plays today video. I got a play today on the 49ers game.
It's not Bellarmine and Howard.
No, that was yesterday. That was an easy
I
one.
know. I know, which I think is an all-time just.
It's on Florida. It's on the Florida Atlantic, North Florida game.
Oh, that's right. And I liked that North Florida team last year. They actually made us some money.
Yeah, and now they're 0-5.
Yeah, now they're dreadful. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, make sure you check out his because he's going to be hurting for views on that one. I promise.
Well, you keep telling me about it, but at the end of the day, my job's to win in the Al Davis philosophy. So far, so good in college basketball, and hopefully these obscure games are going to keep being profitable for the 5 people watching the video.
So if you look at your video list and you see Bellarmine and Howard, and you're like, why on the earth would it's because it wins.
It's because I'm a lunatic, and because it wins. Mostly the first one.
All right, guys. So that's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow to talk a bit about little Tuesday NFL as the Baltimore Ravens and Dallas Cowboys get together. Wow, that should be a blast.
Well, at least Lamar's playing, so you won't have to see Trace McSorley take on this Cowboys defense.
Very good point. As always, we want you guys to like. We want you to subscribe. Let us know in the comment section what you're playing today. Which one of us is crazy? It could be both of us. You never know. So let us know what you're on in these 2 games. And, if you need even more information, don't forget to stop by and check out winnersandwhiners.com. Deep dives into every game going on every single day. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for all of us over here at winnersandwhiners.com, appreciate you stopping by. Hope every one of those bets in your pocket turns into cash money back at the window. And we'll see you tomorrow on Today in Sports Betting. Take care, everybody. Clear.